everyone, welcome to another video. Today I'm here with a very quick wrap up for Orilium Readathon that happened in the month of August. So I'm going to tell you which books I read for which prompts, which books I didn't read because I was using my wheel of TBR for the month of August. And there are some books that I haven't completed, some that I DNF'd. So I'm going to talk to you quickly through those. I'm not going to go into too much detail about what I thought of each book because I'm still going to be keeping my three book wrap-up format for the foreseeable future. I need to hurry up with those though because I've read a few recently and I haven't even filmed them. So I need to get a move on with those and actually do them on time. And so hopefully you'll see soon quite a few of those coming through and hopefully you're interested in them. For my career path I chose to be a spell sword, and for that you had to do 4 subjects with different grades. So the first one was animal studies, and for that one I only had to get an O, and for that was study of familiars, and the prompt was to read a book with an animal on the cover. So for that one I did complete A Medal for Leroy by Michael McPurgo. It's another one of those like dual timeline things as he normally does. So we've got a boy, the main character, Michael, who doesn't know his father. He used to be an RAF pilot. His mum wouldn't talk about the father, so he doesn't know anything about him. He's never met him. But then one day he finds a medal and a photograph, and that's where the story begins. So it was another one of those cute little stories. I only gave it 3 stars, I think. I enjoyed it, but it wasn't anything particularly memorable. Nothing that I would really look back on and think that was a great book. But it was one of those cute, well, not cute stories, but I always enjoy Michael McPurgo's books, but it's just this one didn't reach up to anything above 3 stars, unfortunately. Sorry, I did also have to do Q for qualified, and for that one I had to do Familiar's Raven, so Raven on the cover. And originally for that prompt I chose The Way of Flesh by Ambrose Parry, but I DNF'd this book. I DNF'd it about 70 pages because it just wasn't going for me at all. I could not care less about the main character. I actually was quite annoyed by him, the way he spoke, well, treated women, and how he behaved around them just wasn't for me. And the bleak atmosphere of what was happening, like, I thought I'd enjoy it because this Victorian Edinburgh comes vividly alive and it's a world of pain, which sounds fine to me. Sounds like I would enjoy it, but I could not care less. I don't know what it was. 70 pages, I just felt like nothing was happening. And so I need to tell you what the book's about, actually. So we've got these 2 main characters. One of them is, what's his name? Will Raven. He's a medical student. He's just got a new position for like a trainee for a doctor with a different doctor. And we've got another character who is the, who's she? Housemaid, Dr. Simpson's housemaid. The doctor who Will Raven decided to be an apprentice for, if that's not confusing. There is a death happening at the very beginning of the book. That's literally from the very first chapter, and there will be more deaths, and these 2 characters somehow have to work together to figure out what's happening because they might be in danger themselves. So it sounds like an interesting plot, but I just could not, like, I couldn't read this book. I couldn't care less, and I was making myself read it, and so after about 50 pages I decided, okay, I'm gonna give it another 50 and then decide whether I'm gonna DNF it, because the reviews were pretty good on the book. People do enjoy it, but I tried, I gave it another 20 pages, and at that point I just decided to give up. Could not care less. So that wasn't what I read for this prompt, but I did, however, read a little graphic novel which is called Raven by Edgar Allan Poe, but obviously it's a graphic novel. I don't remember if I've read the full version, if that was a full version, because I remember reading a lot of his like works a few years ago, so I might have read it back then, couldn't remember anything about it. But even the graphic novel wasn't anything exciting. I only gave it 2 stars. I wasn't a fan of like the actual illustrations this time because I don't know, it just wasn't for me. I mean, it was creepy in places, but the actual style of it wasn't a fan. So, but I read it, so technically I completed animal studies, yay! My next subject was demonology, and for that one I only had to do an O, and it had to be imp wrangling, and that was to read a fantasy book. For that one I read The House in the Cerulean Sea by TJ Cloon, and I have a very unpopular opinion on this book. If I'm honest with you, I gave this one 3 stars. I know it's a really unpopular opinion, everybody loves it. And like, don't get me wrong, I did enjoy the fuzzy atmosphere of the relationships between children and the main character, but there was just something about it that, I don't know, I only gave it 3 stars. To me, it felt like there wasn't enough plot to it, and I don't normally need the plot to enjoy the book, but for some reason in this one it didn't quite work for me, and I only gave it 3 stars. I know it's a very unpopular opinion, but what can you do? But in this one we follow our main character, whose name is Linus Baker, and he works for Department in charge of magical youth. So he's being sent to this orphanage on an island to spend a month there and to see whether the orphanage can still be open or does it have to be closed, because there are 6 children that are considered quite dangerous because they've got quite dangerous magical abilities. So it was a sweet atmosphere. It was really like almost like pink glasses type of vibe, which was really cute and cozy, but like I said, it wasn't enough for me to love it. My next subject was restoration, and for an O you had to do object restoration. So for that one you had to read a book with a single object as like the main cover. For that one I'd chosen The Whole Truth by Carrot Hunter, and oh my god, I was surprised by this book. This is the 5th book in a series. I've never read the first 4, unfortunately. Now I have bought the first 4, so we'll be getting to them at some point. An attractive student, an older professor. Think you know the story? Think again. And it is from, what's the series called? It's basically D.I. Adam Fawley series. So we follow the police work, which I actually really enjoyed in this book. And also, it's not just what this says as the main plot. I don't think it's even the main plot, because there are so many different aspects thrown in there. There's like, oh, I was really surprised with this one. I'm definitely going to do a review on this one in my obviously next wrap up, so you will hear my thoughts more in there, but I gave it 5 stars. Honestly, it was like the format of it as well, because it's not like chapters or anything, it's rather shorter like breakdowns of stories, and you've got different like email type things and interviews and all of that, so it makes it so much more interesting. I loved it. Honestly, I couldn't put it down at times. That was amazing. So there we go, there's that one. Then to get to a Q you had to do what was it, Enchanter's Scroll Mending. For that one you had to read the oldest book on your TBR, which originally I've put this one on it, but I did start it, like you can see, but then I very quickly realized, because it's so beautifully written, the story is going quite slowly because it's quite flowery and there are quite a few distractions. I thought there's no chance I'm going to finish this book in that month, because I needed to get a move on, and I had like a couple of weeks left of the month at the time, so I thought that's just not going to happen. I'm not going to finish it, because it is also a massive book. It's like 400 pages, but it would have been alright if it wasn't this slow. Like, it's not a criticism of the book, the writing is beautiful and I do expect to like it, but I feel like with this one I have to take time with it and read it maybe every now and then, not like force myself to read it very quickly, because that's not the purpose of this book. So I've put it down for now. I will be hopefully reading it in September, so I will get back to it. But what I did instead is just chose another TBR vet. Probably not the oldest book on my TBR, but one of the oldest, so I thought I'm gonna go with that one. But I've chosen The Shadows Between Us by Tricia Levenseller, and oh my god, I've loved this book. I give it 5 stars. I did read her duology back in the day, like a few years ago. I listened to the audiobook of The Daughter of the Pirate King and Daughter of the Siren Queen, which is, like I said, a duology. Loved that one, so I have been putting off reading this one because I thought, oh no, what if I don't like this one as much? I did. I really did. The more I got into the book, the more I got invested, the more I started to think about the characters, and even now, it's been like a week or however long it's been that I've finished this book, I still sometimes think of the characters and sometimes miss the atmosphere of being there and reading about the characters, because Tricia Levenseller is really good at writing like a really sassy and funny main character, strong female lead, which I absolutely love. And also there are quite a lot of descriptions of different clothing, which some people might get into, and it did get quite interesting, to be fair. I never expected for me to be that interesting, but it was. So the plot of this book is we follow our main character, and I forgot her name because I'm terrible at names, Alessandra. Her plan is basically to woo the Shadow King, then marry him, and then kill him and take the kingdom for herself. But then he gets into slight danger, and she needs to make sure that he stays alive in order for her to obviously marry him. Like I said, I absolutely loved the book. The chemistry that she writes between characters is also like spot on, and you feel it, and oh, that was amazing. Really, really loved it. And the last subject that I needed to do was spells and incantations, and for that one I only needed an O, and for that one it was like a colour wheel spin, so by going by the colour. And for that one I had purple on the cover, which originally my choice was The Magic Toy Shop by Angela Carter, but I DNF'd this one as well. It was just not worth my time, I thought, honestly. It follows this main character who's 15 years old, and she basically tragically loses her parents and goes to live with her uncle and her aunt in a house, and his main job is doing like a toy shop basically, but some of the figures are apparently really lifelike. But honestly, I was way more than halfway through the book, and I expected from the description some sort of creepy-ish things happening. That did not happen, and I just was not there for that, because I did not like the main character, did not like any of the other characters. The way she was thinking about the world, about herself and everything, I just could not stand it, could not be in her head at all, and there wasn't anything happening, and it's just, I thought I couldn't care less. And then I read some reviews on it as well, and from what people said, I'm glad I didn't finish it, but it did feel like a waste of time, to be honest. So that didn't happen, but instead I did listen to the audiobook of The Lost Apothecary, I think by Sarah Penner, could be wrong, but it's called Purple on the cover, so I can use that. I gave it 4 stars because it was really, really interesting. It was like a dual timeline. In the first timeline we've got this Lost Apothecary, so we've got Nella, who does like different remedies for people, but she also is known secretly for doing poisons for desperate women who, let's say, have been cheated on or something, and they're to use the poison to get rid of the husband or somebody else. So that's what she was doing. And then one day, one of the people who come to her place is a 12-year-old girl, and then an unexpected friendship blossoms. And in the current timeline we've got Caroline, who is going on a trip to London, which was supposedly their 10th anniversary wedding anniversary, but her husband cheated on her and she's going by herself. There she finds the vial that belonged to the Lost Apothecary, and now she is getting into the mystery of all of those murders and stuff like that. It doesn't go too much into the murderous bits, but the book was so interesting. I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. I like the atmosphere. I like the main characters. There's not like much going on plot-wise, but I really, really did enjoy it, so that was a good one. So yeah, that was that for the magical Orilium readathon, but I did also have 2 books on the TBR for that month that I did not even get to. And the first one was The Arithmetist by Sanderson, which was a TBR jar pick. I just didn't have the time for this one, unfortunately, so it's going back on the TBR. And the same story happened with The Shape of Darkness by Laura Purcell. I just didn't get the chance to get to it. And that was for the prompt to read the book with red on the cover. Nothing to do with the readathon, it was just from my wheel of TBR. But yes, so this one is again, unfortunately, going back on the TBR. But there we go, it happens. So yeah, that is my little wrap up. Like I said, I will be posting different reviews on the books that I've mentioned as well in the order that I read them, so you will see my deeper thoughts on them at some point in one of the videos later on. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you for watching. Bye!